Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today let's talk a little bit about healthy coping mechanisms. How do we deal with shit when the shit hits the fan? When life gets hard? When we get thrown a monkey wrench? When we are really going through tough times? How do we deal with it? We have human emotions. Everybody does. People have reactions. Everybody does. This has been an issue for me for my whole life, was coping with bullshit. The way I used to deal with things was to just simply run through vice. I would get very emotional, whether it be angry or depressed, upset, whatever, but I would ride that emotional roller coaster and have extreme outbursts and run right into drinking or doing drugs. I would slip into a depression. My self-worth would go down. I would just basically ruin my life. And it could be a domino effect, where if 2 or 3 or 4 bad things happened to me in 1 week, well, I'm done. I would just check out. I would not become suicidal. Some people do, but I would choose more of the slow route of self-destruction through my own behavior, particularly through vice. Depression is also a form of self-destruction because it can debilitate us. We can hide out and miss out on life. We can destroy our relationships or just give them up and isolate ourselves too much. We can become demented and weird. As I've gotten older, I've been really trying my hardest to learn how to have healthy coping mechanisms. This is why I practice and study and train and live a mind, body, and soul lifestyle every day, 365. I don't take days off. I do this because when the days are good, I'm studying, and when the days get bad, I have a process to use so I can keep a presence of mind in the most emotional times, in the worst of times, when the bombs are going off, when shit's going down, when the economy fails, when my mom gets cancer, when I get dumped, when whatever happens, bad things will happen to you. For the rest of your life, prepare for that. Bad things are going to happen. The worst things are going to happen to you. There's no way around that. All we can do is practice stoicism, like Marcus Aurelius. He was an interesting person in history because he kind of is the grandfather of stoicism. And not that he was the greatest leader that ever lived, but the way that he handled hard times was really a model for people in the future. And I've been trying my hardest at this. In order to have healthy coping mechanisms, I don't look for pacifiers, ways to shut me up, ways to escape. I try to keep a presence of mind. Now, sometimes that's hard when you're in the middle of an emotional reaction. We can try our best to stay the observer rather than the experiencer. That doesn't mean you disassociate from life. What it means is that instead of being lost in your emotions, like an experiencer would be, the person who is always experiencing things is just lost, driven by their emotions. The observer is driven by their intellect. They can see clearly. This is why when you go to other people for advice, you may be like freaking out. Oh my God, what's going on? I don't know what to do. And you go to somebody else who really doesn't have, it's not affecting them, and they can say, okay, look, let's think about this clearly. And they start giving you options. And that's nice to have, but we don't always have that, particularly as we get older. You got to do this for yourself. So it's okay to have emotions. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry, but I try not to let that affect my self-worth, affect my self-love, and to rule my self-talk. I try to take control of those aspects of my mental health so I don't get lost in depression, so I don't get tempted to run towards vice and to pacify myself. Drugs and alcohol are the worst ways to deal with problems. But you can also use sex, TV, food. There's all kinds of things that you can use as a vice in order to kind of check out. Video games, there's all kinds, we can just start naming them. There's all kinds of ways you can just completely check out and just say, I'll deal with it later. it's okay to deal with things later, but not if you're avoiding your problems, not if you're running from your problems. So what I try to do in the heat of the moment, when something bad has happened, if I've gotten some bad news or whatever it may be, I may get triggered. That instantly affects my fight or flight, the frontal cortex of the brain, the amygdala, which was responsible for your fight or flight response. That goes back to 30,000 years of evolution. That's animalistic brain. I don't just simply allow myself to be triggered, allow myself to rage or to cry uncontrollably. I try to limit that to a certain extent. I allow myself to have emotions. I allow myself to be upset. I allow myself to be angry. That's fine. That's healthy. You want to be able to release. You don't want to bottle up emotions. But there's a fine line between experiencing your emotions and letting them go crazy. Emotions can spiral out of control. It can be like looking into a dark abyss where the further that you allow that emotion to continue, the worse it can get. You can find this with babies. That's why it's healthy to calm down a baby rather than just to let them scream and scream and scream and scream and scream and scream and scream, because that baby could eventually choke itself to death. It could get brain damage. You have to calm it down at a certain point. You can't allow yourself to just go out of control with emotions. I used to have these problems. So this is where Stoicism becomes important as a practice, and I suggest people to look into it. To control your emotions, to not get lost in them. This is a true sense of warriorship. This is what warriors do. So you still haven't dealt with the issue yet. Whatever has happened, whatever has triggered you, whatever has set you off, whatever blow that you've just taken, could be you lost your job, got dumped, there's any number of horrible things. You got some bad news from the doctor, there's any number of horrible things that can really fuck your game up. I allow myself to go through the emotion briefly. I try to control that so it doesn't get worse. And then it's important to be able to immediately attack the problem, to become a problem solver, and to get as quickly as you can to a place of intellect rather than emotion. So one way that I do this, if I have energy and I'm really angry or really upset, is through exercise. Exercise can really, really put you into a different state of mind. And when you're done with some vigorous exercise, I know this works for me, whatever I was just going through doesn't feel as much of an attack on my life anymore. Another way to handle this is just through daily practice and to create processes for yourself, to learn, to read. I read a lot about mental health. I read a lot about philosophy. I read a lot about the human brain, about how our mind works. I don't know where the book that I'm reading right now is, but I'd show you what I'm reading right now just to give you an example of stuff that I read. But I like to develop and to learn how other people have taken control of their brain. So I have some information, some tools in my tool chest. When something breaks, you can go and pick the right tool. Fixing stuff is all about the right tool. If you don't have the right tool, fixing something can be really difficult. Trust me, I have a motorcycle shop. That's what Sinister City is. It's a motorcycle shop. I know it's the name of this YouTube channel, but when I'm fixing something, you gotta have the right tool. Oh my God, it can be so frustrating watching someone try to fix something rather simple with the wrong tool. It'll take them 8 hours, 10 hours. They'll just fuck more things up than are necessary. They could ruin their whole motorcycle. So I try to develop the right tools with my brain by studying. But studying will only get you so far. So it is important to reach that state of intellect rather than emotion, because then you can pick from your grab bag of tools and say, okay, first thing I need to do is take control of my self-talk and stop talking myself into being so emotional. Stop talking myself down so much. Stop talking to myself so negatively. and to start seeing solutions, to open yourself up to solutions. Sometimes we can close down. When something bad happens, we immediately close down. To say, fuck it, fuck the world. And we can become self-destructive. When you have tools in your tool chest, you can pick the right one, and instead of walking away from that vehicle and saying, well, it's broke, fuck it, send it to the junkyard, you can say, no, I have an idea, and I have the right tool, let me try this. Sometimes it may take more than one try, and you have to allow yourself to go through whatever you're going through, and to realize there's no rush. That what the most important thing in life is your own mental health. If you can't be there and have presence of mind and have clarity, you're no good to anybody else. So you need to stop what you're doing if you're distracted and to really start taking care of yourself. Meditation is a good way to calm your emotions. Exercise is a good way to calm your emotions. I try to find other ways to calm myself than to check out, because when you calm yourself, sure, maybe you're not attacking your problem in that moment. You're putting your problem aside and you're saying, I'm going to experience this emotion and then let it go so I can get to a place, a higher mind, and then I can get back on this. But that doesn't mean you're checking out. When you're checking out, you're no good to anybody. You're not seeking solutions. Your brain is not in a solution-seeking mode. I will often give my brain an internal directive, because you are the captain of this ship, and you can tell your brain, you can order it to find solutions. Even if you don't have them off of hand, you can just say, we need to solve this. I need to be able to come up with 3 healthy solutions in order to solve this problem. What am I going to do next? Those solutions will come to you, but you need to be able to reach the realm of the observer and get out of the realm of the experiencer. Having healthy coping mechanisms will save your life. It'll save you from depression. It'll save you from vice and all that self-destruction that goes along with it. It can save you from prison. It can save you from suicide. Having healthy coping mechanisms is a true state of power, because we are going to experience fucked up shit in life. It's going to happen. You might be sailing even waters right now, and it might be great. Fucked up shit's going to happen at some point. So this is why we stay on our daily discipline. Every single day, we're learning, we're practicing, we're creating a framework of how we navigate this life in a healthy way. How we can use a clarity of mind, how we can stay calm in all situations so we don't get overwhelmed with emotion. I've had a problem with becoming overwhelmed, easily overwhelmed. And you can throw temper tantrums and all kinds of stuff. This has been a major problem for me, and I admit that humbly. So these are just a few tips and some of my ideas on the topic of coping mechanisms and how to cope with bullshit, how to deal with stuff. There's no easy answer. There's no quick fix. If there was, somebody would have got the Nobel Peace Prize for it. People can spend years and decades trying to turn themselves into a true warrior so they can walk through battlefields. They can have bombs going off around them, and they can see a very clear path. I envy people like that. There's very few, but daily work will get you closer to that goal. Thanks for watching.